Tutorial is going to show you how to set up a master plan using the PACE Plans tool in your Canvas course. Please remember that each of your courses should have a master plan. A master plan would actually guide the PACE plan for each of your students as they are enrolled in your course, which means you only need to set up one master plan in your course for your students to have a PACE plan once they are enrolled, whether they enrolled the first day of school or they enrolled 2 months later. The dates in your master PACE plans are going to guide that. If you later need to modify an individual student's PACE plans, you can do so as well. Let's get started with setting up your master plan. The first thing you want to do is click on PACE plans so that you can come up to this screen right here. You'll notice you have 3 tabs on the top: Study Plan, Reports, and Settings. To set up the master plan, you want to first select a section and also make sure that from the drop-down menu you have Master Plan selected. It is actually the default selection. The next step will be to decide whether you want to use a cascading master plan or a static master plan. The difference between cascading and static is, as you notice here, cascading will give you the option to enter a start date for your course, an end date, or if you prefer to use a number of weeks. If you choose a static, you won't have the choice to enter an end date or number of weeks. However, you will have the choice to enter the exact due days for assignments on the PACE plan. And we're going to take a look at that screen in a minute. For now, I want to start by creating a cascading master plan. So I got my section, I selected master plan, I selected cascading. Now I'm going to go ahead and enter the start date. I am choosing to use the first day of school, which was August 15th. The next thing I'm going to do is going to select the number of weeks. My course, it's an 18-week course, so I'm going to select 18 weeks. You notice that when I enter 18, the field for end date is now not available. This is because you either enter an end date or the number of weeks. Once again, as your students are enrolling, all of these dates will be flowing in the individual PACE plan. You are just creating a master plan. Before you move on, you want to click on Save Draft. This is just to save the data you just entered. The next thing you want to do is click on Refresh Study Plan Data. The reason you're going to click on Refresh Study Plan Data is because you want to populate the information from your modules on your page. Once you click on Refresh Study Plan Data, it will take a second to get the information on your PACE plan. As you notice, my starting date would say 15 as I set it up on the previous screen, and I have my 18 weeks. So my next step will be to come here and start entering duration of days. As you are entering these dates, if you would like to see what those dates will look like, you will click on Preview Plan. Preview Plan will refresh the information that you've been entering on the screen. As you can see, I enter one date. My starting date was the 15th, so the due date will be 8/16. One of the things that you'll notice is that I enter 1, but this date does not necessarily correlate or matches the information. Here is why. As you enter all of the due dates for your assignments, you'll start noticing your dates shift, which means that until you do not finish entering the amount of days for all of the assignments, you will not see correct days. They will adjust accordingly. So I'm going to continue entering dates, and I'm going to show you what this will look like. So now that I have finished entering the amount of days that my assignments should take the students to complete, you will notice that all of my due dates were adjusted. Some of my assignments would take 1 day, some of my assignment would take 2 days, and you will see how the days adjust by themselves. The great thing about this tool is that your students, regardless of the date where they were enrolled, they'll be able to have a PACE plan ready to go based on the master plan that you built. One of the things that you will notice, I got my first assignment due based on the amount of days that will take, and since I entered the amount of weeks that my course will take, all of these were calculated based on an 18-week course. So my students should be finishing up using that 18-week time that I entered. This is what a cascading plan looks like. Once again, you only need to set up your master plan once in your course for your students to be able to take advantage of this. If you decide that you would like to adjust the individual PACE plan for a student, you can do so by selecting the student from the drop-down menu and then choosing the student and making the changes. Please note that you can only save one master plan per section. So again, if you ever make changes to your master plan, make sure that you save those and they won't populate until you publish them. So saving your master plan and then publishing your plan, it will be very important. Do not publish until your plan has been completed. Otherwise, your students will be getting information that might not be accurate. Now I'm going to show you what you would do if you wanted your master plan to be a static plan. So with a static plan, you notice now that I don't have an end date. I do have a start date, so I'm going to set it up to the first day of a school. And what I did here is I'm going to start selecting due date. So if I know this should be due by the 16th, so you can select your due days based on when you would like those assignments to be turned in. Although you're entering exact days, those days will be adjusted for students as they enrolled in your course. So these will flow according to their enrollment date. One thing to keep in mind is that these dates need to be sequential. And once you have entered all of the dates for your assignments, you want to make sure that you save your draft and publish. You will only have an option to save and publish one master plan per course. So make sure that whether you decide to do a cascading or static plan, once you create it, you save it and publish it. You will notice that you have a reports option, and here you have either a course completion report or a student progress report. If you click on the student progress report, this will give you a complete overview of your student's progress. Make sure you select your section and then click on Run Report. Once you click on Run Report, it'll pull up the data and you'll be able to see your students' progress. You'll be able to see if they're on or off pace, the expected progress, the actual progress, assignments completed, assignments that need to be graded, assignments with a current grade, days in plan, maximum days, the day that the plan ends, and the day that the plan started. If you need to export the data from this report, you will go to Export to CSV and download to your computer. The other part of the PACE Plans tool is the settings. You'll see notifications that can be set up in your particular course. You have notifications at the admin level, teacher level, and student level. If you need to stop send notifications at any of the levels, you want to make sure that you select which notifications you want to stop and then simply toggle the don't send or send notifications. To set up your notifications, you first want to choose from the notifications drop-down menu. Teachers have the ability to receive notifications when all assignments for a student has been submitted. You can receive everyday notifications about enrolled students. You can receive everyday notifications about rejected students. And your students can receive weekly status notifications for PACE on course, and they will also be receiving notifications that when their assignments is due. This would alert your students. If you want to set up to alert the student 2 days or 5 days before an assignment is due, you can do so by using the settings. Another additional settings on this tab is the ability to include weekend due dates. The default is unchecked, meaning it's not including weekends. If you would like to include weekends, you will actually check that off. If you need to manually enter dates that you would like to exclude, then here is where you will set that up. And obviously, don't forget to save your settings. Another piece of information that you will see once you publish your master plan is that you'll have a date when your plan was last drafted. So you'll have your last draft and last published plan. If you ever need to load that information, you will use the load link to load your either last drafted plan or last published plan. Please note that your master plan can be adjusted as needed as you go through the school year. You always need to remember that if you do make any changes to your master plan, they must be saved and published so that it can populate to your students. Thank you, and I hope this information is helpful.